Hello everyone. Let us talk about eudaimonia or eudaimonia or happiness and its relation to ethics. For Aristotle, eudaimonia was achieved through living virtuously or what you might describe as being good. But this doesn't guarantee happiness in the modern sense of the word. In fact, it might mean doing something that makes us unhappy, like telling an upsetting truth to a friend. Eudaimonia derives from the Greek words eu, meaning well, and daimon, meaning spirit. This has given rise to other proposed translations of living well, the good life, or flourishing. This concept of a good inner spirit or feeling of well-being is translated as happiness. Sometimes, eudaimonia is translated from the original ancient Greek as welfare, sometimes flourishing, and sometimes as well-being. The concept of eudaimonia comes from Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, his philosophical work on the science of happiness. While many ancient Greek philosophers claimed that eudaimonia constitutes the goal of humanity, they disagreed on exactly what eudaimonia consists in. Aristotle famously claimed that virtue is necessary but not sufficient for eudaimonia. He argued that to live well is to successfully see one's rational faculties to correctly apply virtues to moral dilemmas. So he assumes that any practical or theoretical activity aims towards some end or good. He gives the following examples to elucidate this proposition: health for the practice of medicine, school for education, and among others. However, these ends are still provisional goals to another goal. If, for instance, if you ask someone, why are you going to work? They may say, to earn money. And why do you want to earn money? To pay my rent, to buy foods for myself and for my cat, to finance my studies. And why do you want this? It is to be happy. This is just the same as asking, why do you still love him knowing that he doesn't love you? It's because I love him. What? Are you crazy? "Oh, I want to be loved. Why do you want this? I want to marry him, to start a family with him, and ultimately to be happy." Eudaimonia bases virtues in human flourishing, where flourishing is equated with performing one's distinctive function well. In the case of humans, Aristotle argued that our distinctive function is reasoning, and so the life worth living is one which we reason well. So, to understand its role in virtue ethics, we look to under Aristotle's function argument. Aristotle recognizes that actions are not pointless because they have an aim. For example, the knife has a function, to cut, and it performs its function well when it cuts well. This argument is applied to man. Man has a function, and the good man is the man who performs his function well. Man's function is what is peculiar to him and sets him aside from other beings, reason. Therefore, the function of man is reason, and the life that is distinctive of humans is the life in accordance with reason. If the function of man is reason, then the good one is the man who reasons well. This is the life of excellence or of eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is the life of virtue, activity in accordance with reason, or the man's highest function. For Aristotle, happiness is the self-sufficient, final and attainable goal of human life. It is self-sufficient because to have it makes human life complete. It is final because it is desired for itself and not for the sake of something else. And it is attainable because it is not a mere theoretical construct but something that one actually does practically. In his own words, happiness above all seems to be of this character, for we always choose it on account of itself, and never on account of something else. Yet, honor, pleasure, intellect, and every virtue we choose on their own account, for even if nothing resulted from them, we would choose each of them. But we choose them also for the sake of happiness, because we suppose that, through them, we will be happy. But nobody chooses happiness for the sake of these things, or more generally, on account of anything else. The importance of this point of eudaimonistic virtue ethics is that it reverses the relationship between virtue and rightness. Our utilitarian could accept the value of the virtue of kindness, but only because someone with a kind disposition is likely to bring about consequences that it will maximize utility. So, the virtue is only justified because of the consequences it brings about. In Eudaimonist virtue ethics, the virtues are justified because they are constitutive elements of eudaimonia, that is, human flourishing and well-being, which is good in itself. For ethics, this is important for three reasons. First, because when we're thinking about the consequences of an action, we should take into account their impact on the flourishing of others. Second, it suggests we should do our best to eliminate as many barriers to flourishing as we possibly can. And thirdly, it reminds us that living virtuously needs to be its own reward, and is no guarantee of success, happiness, or flourishing, but it is still a central part of what gives our lives meaning.